You've said something in anger you can never take back. You've made a decision in rage and regretted it for years. What if I told you that your biggest enemy isn't the person who hurt you, the situation that frustrated you, or the world pressing down on you? Your biggest enemy is the 3 seconds before you react. Today, I'm going to tell you the story of a king who nearly destroyed everything he loved, not because of his enemies, but because of his own emotions, and the one lesson his old teacher taught him that changed everything. Stay with me, because this lesson might change your life too. Aristotle once said, "Anyone can become angry. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, for the right purpose, and in the right way, that is not easy." Think about that for a moment. Anger itself isn't the problem. Anger is human, it's natural, it's even necessary sometimes. The problem is uncontrolled anger. Anger that fires before your brain has a chance to think. Anger that makes decisions your calmer self would never make. Our story begins with a king, powerful, feared, respected. His kingdom was vast, his army was strong, but the king had one weakness that threatened to undo it all. He could not control his temper. A servant dropped a goblet, punished. A soldier arrived 1 minute late, dismissed. An advisor gave unwelcome news, banished. His decisions weren't made with wisdom, they were made with emotion. And deep down, even the king knew something was wrong. Then one day, someone arrived at the palace who wasn't afraid of the king's anger. His childhood teacher. The old man had taught the king as a boy, before the crown, before the throne, before the power. And the king, despite everything, still held deep respect for him. That evening, they shared dinner together. The table was grand, the food was extraordinary, the conversation was warm. And then a fly fell into the king's soup. The king's face changed instantly. His jaw tightened, his eyes narrowed. He was about to call for the servant, to shout, to punish someone, anyone, for this small, insignificant moment. But the teacher gently raised his hand and said, "Your Majesty, may I ask you something? Is the fly disturbing your peace right now, or is it your reaction to the fly?" Silence. The king opened his mouth, then closed it. The fly hadn't hurt him. The fly wasn't a threat. The fly was just a fly. It was the king's own anger, rising fast, hot, and uncontrolled, that was ruining the moment. Later, as they walked together in the garden, the teacher spoke again. "Your Majesty, you have conquered kingdoms, you command thousands, but tell me, can you command yourself for just 5 seconds before you react?" The teacher explained something that would stay with the king for the rest of his life. Every time we react from emotion, from rage, from fear, from wounded pride, our brain is not thinking clearly. The part of the brain responsible for reason gets hijacked. We don't see the full picture. We don't weigh consequences. We just react. And those reactions, they're almost always wrong. True strength is not in how loudly you can roar, Your Majesty. True strength is in the pause, in the breath, in the choice to respond rather than react. The teacher told him, emotional control is not a gift you're born with. It's a skill, like sword training, like governance. It requires practice every single day. And the more you practice, the stronger that muscle becomes. The king took the lesson to heart. The next time a servant made a mistake, he paused, he breathed, he asked himself, "Is this worth my anger? What will punishing this person actually solve?" The next time bad news was delivered, instead of shooting the messenger, he listened, he thought, he responded with clarity. And something remarkable happened. His decisions improved. His advisors began to speak more openly, no longer paralyzed by fear. His subjects trusted him more. Peace settled over the kingdom, like a warm, steady light. One day, the king sent a message to his teacher. "You gave me something no battle ever could. You gave me peace, not in my kingdom, but in myself. And I have learned that peace within is the foundation of everything without." Now, you might not be a king, but I guarantee you face your own version of the fly in the soup every single day. Maybe it's a passive-aggressive comment from a coworker. Maybe it's traffic making you late. Maybe it's a message that lands the wrong way. Maybe it's criticism that stings. These are your emotional triggers, the specific moments, words, or situations that push your buttons and send your emotions spiking before your brain catches up. And here's what science tells us. Most people don't even know their own triggers. They just react. Then they wonder why they keep ending up in the same arguments, the same regrets, the same cycles. The first step to emotional mastery is simple. Know yourself. Ask, what makes me react? What memories, words, or situations put me on edge? When do I make decisions I later regret? Just naming your triggers takes away some of their power. The second step is the pause, that 3-second gap between stimulus and response. Breathe, count, step back. Even just saying to yourself, "I'm feeling angry right now," activates your rational brain and begins to slow the emotional flood. Other tools that work: deep breathing, slow, deliberate breaths signal safety to your nervous system. Meditation, even 5 minutes a day, builds your awareness muscle over time. Taking a break, remove yourself from the trigger before you respond. And talking to someone you trust, putting emotions into words makes them easier to process. And above all, remember this: emotions are temporary. That rage you feel right now, it will pass. That heartbreak, that frustration, that overwhelming pressure, it is not permanent. Don't make a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling. The king in our story didn't become wise because he was born with patience. He became wise because he chose, deliberately, consistently, day after day, to practice something harder than any battle: controlling himself. That is the true mark of strength. Not how much power you hold over others, but how much power you hold over yourself. You have that same capacity right now, today. The next time you feel anger rising, frustration boiling, or emotions threatening to take the wheel, remember the fly in the soup. Remember the pause. Remember that you always have a choice: react or respond. One leads to regret, the other leads to respect, from others and from yourself. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you're working on mastering your emotions, leave a comment below. Tell me, what's your biggest emotional trigger and what are you doing about it? I'll see you in the next one.